Hello guys, welcome back to Man with a Pan, and today what we're going to be cooking is the perfect roast potato. If you ask people what their favourite part of a roast dinner is, I imagine many people out there are going to tell you it's the roast potatoes. So this is my take on the perfect roast potato. So the potatoes that I'm going to use today are new potatoes. Maris Piper potatoes are equally as good. But what you want to be looking for is to get some potatoes that are roughly the same size. So that means when we start baking them, they're going to cook at the same pace. So you won't get some that are undercooked, some that are overcooked. So they'll all look perfect. When I make roast potatoes, I like to keep the potato whole, so it's good to choose a potato that's not too small because it'll overcook. And obviously not a potato that's too big, because then you end up with something that resembles a jacket potato, and that's certainly not what we're looking for. Okay guys, so I've peeled the potatoes now, and as you can see they're all roughly the same size. So as I said before, that's really going to help when it comes to roasting the potatoes, to make sure they all cook evenly and they all kind of look the same when they're on the plate. So the next step is to parboil the potatoes. Now when we say parboil, all that means is we're going to put it in the pan, boiling water, for roughly about 5 minutes. And all that does is it just softens the edges of the potato. It certainly doesn't cook it all the way through. And that means that when it comes to roasting these potatoes, they're going to turn all gnarly, crispy on the outside, and that's really what we want. So first, what we're going to add into our pan is quite a lot of salt. And here's a secret ingredient that really makes these potatoes stand out from any other roast potatoes you might have ever had, and that's turmeric. So into the pan we put about a teaspoon of turmeric. Now, turmeric, when you think turmeric, you might think that it's a spice, and that doesn't really go with roast potatoes whatsoever. But what turmeric is it's a spice, but it's a root spice. So just like the potato, it comes out of the ground. So it's got a real earthy quality about it, and that really brings out the best in the potatoes when we come to roasting them. Not only does it enhance the flavour of the potato, but as you'll see later on in the video, it also enhances the colour of the potato. So we really get that golden roasted effect on our potatoes. So our potatoes have been parboiled now for 5 minutes. And I don't know if it's coming through on the camera, but the potatoes have kind of taken on this almost orange colour, and that's obviously because of the turmeric that we put in the pack. Like I said, that's really going to make the potatoes turn a lovely golden brown when they're roasted in the oven. So now what we're going to do to make sure the potatoes are extra gnarly, crispy and delicious, and make sure they really absorb the flavours that we're going to be putting into the roasting tin with them. So now what we want to do is get our potatoes and just make gentle slices across the back of the potato, about 1/2 centimetre apart, not cutting into the potato too much. And what this will do when the potato's roasting is it means all the flavours that we're going to put into that roasting tin is going to get absorbed into the potato, and also it's going to make it extra crispy. So we've repeated that process with all our potatoes now. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm putting into the roasting dish to make these potatoes extra delicious. So this part is really simple guys. You've already done the hard part. You've got your potatoes, you've parboiled them for 5 minutes with the salt and the turmeric, and made the little slits in the back of the potatoes to make sure that they really absorb these flavours. So in our roasting dish, it's as simple as this. We've got 2 cloves of garlic, 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Obviously the garlic and the thyme are really going to add some flavour to our potatoes, and the salt, while seasoning the potatoes, really makes sure that it absorbs a lot of the moisture, and in turn what that's going to do is make the potatoes extra crispy. In with the garlic, thyme and salt, we're going to add a large knob of butter, and a good glug of olive oil. So again, the butter adds even more flavour, and then we put the olive oil in there to make sure the potatoes really crisp up really get gnarly, and also the olive oil stops the butter from burning. We want to put these ingredients into the oven for about 5 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius, and it will really let the flavours of the garlic, the thyme, go into the butter and the oil before we put the potatoes in to begin the roasting. Okay guys, so the roasting dish has been in the oven now for around roughly 5 minutes, 180 degrees Celsius, and that's really allowed the garlic and the thyme to infuse the olive oil and the butter. So what we're going to do now is go ahead, put the potatoes in the roasting dish, and what we want to do when we're putting the potatoes in the roasting dish is really make sure that they're coated with all those flavours. So if we get a pair of tongs, just make sure that they're really coated, because ultimately what we've done there is we've made those slits in the potatoes for this moment to make sure that they're absorbing all that flavour. So we're going to go ahead and put these potatoes in the oven. Overall cooking time is going to be around 45-50 minutes. We want to get them out of the oven around halfway through, give them another turn in the oil, make sure they're absorbing all those flavours. Bearing in mind guys, what we're going for is not just potatoes that look great but also taste great. So we want to make sure we're turning them halfway through just to make sure they're really taking on all those flavours from the thyme and the garlic. Okay guys, so the potatoes have been in the oven for around 25 minutes now, and they're really getting crispy. So what we're going to do is move them around in the oil, really get them coated, really get that maximum flavour out of the garlic and the thyme. And once we've done this, we're going to put them back in the oven for roughly another 20 minutes until they're really golden brown, really crispy, and they're ready to eat. So as you can see, the potatoes are super crispy. They've taken on all of that flavour from the garlic and the thyme, and they're really golden brown. So remember guys, the key to these roast potatoes is when you're parboiling them to make sure you add the turmeric into the water. It really enhances the flavour of the potatoes, but it also makes them really golden brown when they're finished. Not only that, once they've been parboiled, when you add those cuts into the potatoes, it really makes them go really gnarly and crispy and absorb all those flavours that's been put into the oil and the butter of the garlic and the thyme. So there we are guys, there's our roast potatoes all served up. Now these will be a real showstopper on any roast dinner. They look absolutely fantastic, golden brown, but not only that, not only do they look great, bear in mind we've added that thyme, that garlic, they're also going to taste great. They're crispy on the outside, but they're going to be really fluffy on the inside. The perfect roast potato. Give it a try guys. If you've enjoyed this video, found it useful, please subscribe to the channel, Man with the Pan. There'll be plenty more recipes, plenty more handy hints and tips coming up in the future. And I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.